Hey, what's going on? This is Alex here, and today we're going to be talking about 5 reasons you failed the job interview and how to fix them. So you filled out the application, you passed the phone interview, and just completed the in-person interview. After waiting around for a while, you might get that email that we all regret seeing. We regret to inform you, ... Now, while this does truly suck, everything will be okay. It's important to remember that always. Now, maybe this was a case of something simply not being the right fit, and in that case, something better will come along soon. However, certain behaviors might be knocking you out of the job race before you've even left the interview. Now, I've been on both sides of this situation. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about 5 reasons you failed the job interview and how to fix them. All right, so tip number 1 on our list, and the first reason you failed the job interview perhaps was because you showed up late. Now, throughout life, things happen that are going to be out of our control. However, you need to do everything possible to make sure that nothing interferes on that special day that you've got that job interview. Now, it is always recommended that you arrive 15 minutes early to every job interview, no exceptions. So that means if they tell you the job interview is at 9 a.m., you're going to want to show up at 8:45 a.m. Sorry about the chair, it's squeaky. So now many people think that showing up to a job interview 15 minutes early is only done to make you look good in the eyes of the employers, which is true. Employers, recruiters, they want to see that you're already there waiting by the time their schedule comes up and it says that you're supposed to be there for the interview. Now, something else to think about is how this benefits you as a job hunter. If you plan on arriving at the location of your interview 15 minutes early, you're going to decrease your chances of dealing with traffic, of dealing with road construction, of dealing with any random problem that could happen between now and you arriving at that interview. In addition, showing up to a job interview early shows that you're punctual, prepared, and likely very excited about this job. Now, whether or not you feel like throwing up in the nearest trash can is irrelevant. To put it simply, arriving late gives the impression that you don't really value the time of the company and the company's employees. Now, a quick bonus tip I wanted to throw in here. So another benefit of arriving to your interview 15 minutes early is that most likely you are going to arrive in the parking lot early. Maybe take some time to go over your resume. Yes, definitely bring a copy of your resume, preferably one for each person who will be interviewing you, and have one for yourself as well. So take a minute while you're in the car and just go over the details and your talking points in that resume. Okay, tip number 2, didn't maintain eye contact, or you gave the impression that you were very shy. Now, take it from me personally, I am someone who has struggled with this for a long time. So instead of looking directly into someone's eyes while you're interviewing, which can be daunting, you're going to look right above here. You're just going to look at the middle of their forehead. Now this, you're going to get an eye full of forehead, but they're going to think on the other end that you're looking them in the eyes. Now, of course, just a couple quick things about eye contact. We don't want to stare at their foreheads the whole time. That would be creepy. Instead, what you're going to want to do, more so, you're going to want to maintain this eye contact when you're listening. Definitely include it while you're speaking and answering questions, but mainly want to hold that eye contact while you're listening and listening to their responses. So reason number 3, you may have failed the job interview, is because you didn't learn anything about the company. Now, you may have heard this in phone calls and phone interview type situations or emails where they tell you to learn about the company, or they give you these links to follow to find out information about companies. This is super beneficial to do, and you can find out some really cool stuff about the company that you're going to use in your next interviews. So for the scenario, why I want to tell you why it's so important to learn about a company, okay? So let's think of job interviews as a type of date. We're looking for a long-term relationship with a person on a date as we would with a job interview. We're looking for a good fit. So let's imagine that you have two potential dates scheduled over the course of one weekend. Now, date A is someone who spends most of the time talking about themselves and doesn't really ask questions about you. So that's going to give the impression that really they're not interested. They're probably more interested in themselves. And when you're not learning about the company, it's great to tell the company about yourself in an interview. However, you want to ensure that you are also asking questions about the company. We'll get into that here in a second. So back to the scenario. So date A or date one was a person who talked about themselves the entire time. So the next night you have a date with date number two or date B. And that date, while they do talk about themselves, they also ask you questions about yourself and maybe can talk a little bit about things you like, maybe a hobby. You guys match on a certain hobby or something like that. You're going to want to be that second date, okay? You're going to want to talk about yourself, but remember that the company, the interviewers, recruiters, they're going to want to know that you know something about the company as well, and that you've done your research showing that you care about this company. All right, so reason number 4 why you may have failed the job interview. This sort of goes in line with the third reason, but this one is that you didn't ask any questions. Now, you've probably heard a few times if you've interviewed before, people asking, well, do you have any questions for us or anything like that? Okay, this is not a formality or something that is optional, in my opinion. Definitely want to have some questions for the company, at least, if you're on the in-person interview stage, I would say 3 to 4 is good. So certain people think that these questions are important to ask during an interview. Questions including how much am I getting paid? What's the time off policy like here? And when do I start getting vacation time? Now, while these questions are important, unfortunately, it's going to make it look like you're just in it for the money. Now, while that may or may not be true, is up to you, but you're definitely going to want to ask different questions. So questions that I might ask include question 1, what's your favorite part about working for this company? Now, of course, include, switch the company name out with the company you're interviewing at. Now, this allows workers to speak about themselves while also letting you find out what the best parts are about this position. The second question is, what 3 traits do you look for for success in this position? So that might be like, what 3 traits do you look for in a great sales manager? What 3 traits do you look for in a great nurse? Anything like that. This is going to give you a slight advantage because it's going to let you know what this company is looking for during your first stages of employment should you pass the job interview. And the third question I like to ask are, what are the next steps in the hiring process? Now, this is a great question because you don't have to remember it. You have to remember it. You don't have to switch out company names. You can ask this in any interview, and it's relatively easy to remember as long as you ask it better than I just did. All right, and the final reason why you may not have gotten the job after the job interview was because you didn't follow through. Companies love somebody that's going to take the time to send a quick thank you email, whether that be to the person hiring you, the person you've been in contact with. And if sending a quick 30-second email to thank the company for interviewing you puts you ahead of the pack, why not do it? Really got to fix this chair. So here's something relatively easy that you can use as an example. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to type up just kind of a quick little thank you that you can include once you've gotten back from the interview, once you've gotten home or maybe a little later in the day. So we're going to say, hello, Tom, just an example. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. I look forward to hearing now. I look forward to any potential consideration for this position. Now you can include the name of the position if you would like, and then we're just going to follow that. You can do thanks, Frank, or Frank, just another name we're throwing in here. Sincerely, Frank. So just like that, quick way to make, oh, don't forget that. There we go. Just a quick way to send a nice thank you letter and maybe increase your chances of landing that job. And feel free to add a little more in there. I just wanted to do this for as an example for someone who may be pressed for time. But don't make it a love letter. I hope you enjoyed this video on 5 reasons that you failed the job interview and how to fix them. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to this channel, as it is insanely small. You'll probably be the first subscriber if you decide to do so. And we're going to have a lot of videos coming up in the near future for you, so keep checking us out every week, and thanks for watching.